A Bernedoodle-sized boom. That's the only way I know how to describe what's going on in mobile grooming right now. What's going on, guys? It's Alex back with the Daily Groomer. And today we're going to talk about one thing. Is mobile grooming a fad or the future? See, everywhere you look, you see a grooming van on the streets doubling as a driving billboard nowadays. The word on the street is even PetSmart is looking to test out mobile grooming this year. But why is this newer type of grooming service becoming so dang popular? Simply put, tons of owners are willing to pay more for the convenience of having you come right to their doorstep. But I have one question. Is it here to stay? Will it drive traditional brick and mortar stores out of business, or is it just like a big, giant, hairy fad? Let's dive in today on this week's topic for the Daily Groomer Deep Dives. So, mobile grooming madness. How did it get so popular in the first place? Well, when COVID-19 hit, it really changed how we do a lot of things, right? I mean, it changed where we went, what we watched, shout out Tiger King, and how we take care of our pets. I mean, many pet owners were forced to stay at home, and that alone kind of gave mobile grooming a big boost right off the bat. For many years, before COVID, mobile grooming was about convenience and health, but it was a little bit pricier. So only a very few people used it or had even really heard about it, right? But looking at the Google search interest for mobile grooming during COVID, you can see exactly when the big rise of mobile grooming occurred. But is it just a COVID thing, or has this continued through COVID? Well, I mean, since the original boom during COVID, it does look like it's slowing down a little bit, but not by much. The industry is kind of growing into a sleeping giant. And when I say giant, I mean, I really mean it. I looked up some numbers right before this, and the mobile pet care market size was valued at $2.52 billion in 2022. That's right after the pandemic. And yes, that's right, I said billion. And it's forecasted to continue to grow. It's forecasted to grow 6% plus for the next 8 years. Crazy. Yet surprisingly, I think mobile grooming is still pretty early. It only makes up a very small portion of the overall grooming industry. To test this, we even went into our own community at the Daily Groomer to see who is mobile versus salon. And you'd be surprised with the numbers. We made a little chart for those of you that responded and for those people in our community that responded to really display this. But you'll see 72% of people were salon owners, 12% of people were in the house call business. Only 16% of the audience that gave us this information was in the mobile business. That's crazy. That's such a small portion of such a large industry. And so mobile grooming is still a very small piece of our community, but is it the preferred business model of the future? Well, why is mobile grooming so dang beneficial and popular? Let's look into the benefits. So first off, I mean, you get that one-on-one advantage. As you all know, mobile groomers typically work one-on-one with each pet. You get to provide that personalized attention throughout the entire grooming session. Tons of pet owners like this individualized approach because it ensures that their pet receives undivided attention and care. It's like when you take your kid to school and you care about how many teachers per kid. It's the same sort of thing. I mean, as a pet owner, you want to know how many groomers per dogs, right? I mean, I'd much rather give my dog to you one-on-one than drop my dog off at a place where there's 100 dogs and just one groomer. I mean, that's not the care and attention that I think, my dog needs. But this is super beneficial, especially for elderly and special needs pets, right? I mean, many of these guys have mobility issues or require extra care during grooming that frankly, some people aren't willing to persist through and change their ways through, right? So having someone come directly to the pet owner's door makes their day 10 times easier, and they're usually willing to pay a lot more. It saves a ton of time and hassle as well, right? With busy schedules, transporting pets to a salon can be super challenging. If that doesn't let the pet owner's pet stay there all day, it can be super tough for a pet owner to make that work, right? Versus in mobile, you're coming right to their door. You can do it while they're at work. And so clients are willing to pay a significant amount more for mobile pet grooming businesses or pet grooming services, because of all these things. But with all that being said, we cannot do a deep dive without looking at the other side of this as well. So yes, there are many advantages to operating mobile grooming service, but there are also some challenges and some major drawbacks when compared to running a traditional brick and mortar salon. here are the few of the key things I like to point out right off the bat. It's a higher initial investment. So vans aren't cheap, and most van manufacturers have a 6 to 8 month wait list right now, right? So this initial cost and wait time, plus the risk of outlaying that much capital right up front, can be much higher than setting up a stationary salon in an existing space. You know, you're looking at a rent of somewhere in the realm of 2 to 5K, depending on where you're at in the country, for a traditional salon versus 60, 70, 80K up front versus for a mobile van, right? Significantly different prices, especially for people just starting out. So van in the mobile grooming business can be a little bit more costly up front. The second key area that I like to point out as a downside is you have ongoing costs. You have these maintenance and fuel costs that, you know, operating a mobile grooming service means dealing with ongoing maintenance and ongoing fuel expenses. Like the more you do, the more this gets expensive, right? So the wear and tear on your van as well can start to add up. I mean, who knew you're going to be wearing the hat of a groomer and a mechanic at the same time? Another thing, you have limited space. I mean, we like to make the joke, but I mean, do you want to work in a 6-foot box all day? Now, you do get to be outside, and oftentimes you do get to get outside a little bit more than working in a salon, but you are in a confined space with nobody else. And so sometimes that can start to add up and take a toll on your, you know, personal life, right? A few other points that are, you know, high level that I like to point out. Scheduling can be a challenge because you have different routes. You have to time your driving, you know, all that sort of stuff, right? So that can be tough. Weather and environmental factors can kind of kick you out of commission for a day or two, depending on, again, where you live in the country. But imagine an ice storm, or imagine it's so hot that your generator can't run, right? Makes it tough to go to work that day. And then also service limitations, right? I like to use that word as like, hey, some people still think mobile is too expensive for them. So you're limited on who you can and who you will service. So, I mean, despite a lot of these drawbacks, like I said, there's still very high and very heavy advantages towards mobile grooming. One of them is a little dive that I'd like to go on right now about mobile grooming finances, the economics of it. I mean, how much did mobile groomers actually make? And this kind of falls in the pro column, right? Because mobile groomers, at least from the data here, make a lot more than traditional boutique salon brick and mortar groomers. So let's run the numbers. First things first, did you know that a pet groomer can earn more than 3x their income in a mobile grooming salon? Yes, that's freaking crazy, but I'm serious. Hear me out. There's less expenses because it's cheaper to run a van, plus more revenue because of your higher prices. That equals greater earnings. So let's go into even bigger detail here. You know, let's break it down for us, Alex. Wiki. Going mobile will significantly reduce a salon's overhead expenses. You don't have labor, you don't have rent, you don't have a ton of things if you have that van paid off, right? All you're really paying for is supplies and then ongoing fuel and maintenance, which again can be a lot cheaper once you're going after you pay the initial investment. Also, you can charge more. So let's run some easy numbers to visualize what I'm talking about here. So let's assume you do 5 dogs a day. Let's assume the average price per dog is $125. Let's assume you work 22 days per month. That's, you know, a modest 5 days a week, right? Nothing crazy. You'd be pulling in $13,750 per month in top line revenue. That's your overall sales, right? Great. But hold your horses. You don't get to keep all that, right? So let's run you through a typical month's expenses. To do that, I could break it out for you, but I want you to check out this graphic right here. This is actually from our friends over at Wagon Tails, and they have some good groomer humor here to go through some of the groomer speak. But you can see with monthly totals of around $3,400, you're looking at making a little over 10K a month, which is about 120K a year. And you're only working 5 days a week or 5 dogs a day. Not bad at all to make 120K. That's pretty wild, right? That's one thing I like to point out with the economics. Now, you know, to go back to the question, do we think it's a fad? If you ask me, I say no. I think it's here to stay. I think pet owners really enjoy the convenience that comes with mobile pet grooming. I think they're willing to pay for it. And I think right now that there's not enough mobile pet groomers. So if you're looking to get paid more, be your own boss, be your own business owner, be mindful of the disadvantages I mentioned in this video, but a couple things that you can check out, some resources to buy your vans, Facebook, Craigslist, Wagon Tails, and Hamby Vans. Facebook Marketplace is the first place I'd check. There's tons of good mobile grooming vans for sale. You can also hop into the Daily Groomer Community Facebook group and ask if anyone's selling theirs. The other thing is you can check out some of the top players in mobile pet care. mobile pet grooming to see how they're doing. Those are folks like Aussie Pet Mobile, Zoom and German, Pet Love Mobile, and Furryland. Let me know what I missed. Would love to hear from you guys. Like I said, we don't know anything. I don't think it's a fad, but no one can tell the future, right? I'm Alex. Thanks for joining us today on another Daily Groomer Deep Dive. Like I said, join the conversation on our Facebook with over 800 groomers at the Daily Groomer Facebook group, and check us out online at thedailygroomer.com. Thanks, guys.